Thank you to Delta Force for sponsoring today's video. Delta Force Mobile is easily one of the best mobile first-person shooters in a very long time. So many people all around the world are completely infatuated with this game, including myself, whether we like the complete chaos of a full-scale warzone like Havoc Warfare, or we like the slower, more intense, high-risk, high-reward gameplay of Hazard Operations. This game is for everybody. But unfortunately, not everybody can play this game. See, there's a lot of people out there that are watching this video that have budget devices, and they struggle playing some of these more intensive mobile games. This video is for you. If you're watching this video and you struggle playing Delta Force, I'm going to talk about all of my best tips and tricks to boost performance and decrease lag so you can have the best gameplay experience. I hope this video does help you. Even if it helps a little bit, then I did my job right. Leave a like if you do enjoy this video. Subscribe for some more mobile gaming content just like this. Share this video with your friends if they also struggle playing this game. And let's jump into the video. Starting things off here with the in-game settings. These are the more basic tips that probably a lot of people already know about, but it is worth talking about. We're going to talk about a lot more complex tips and tricks, right down to changing the resolution of your phone later on in this video. But to start, everybody talks about FPS being more important than quality, and I agree as well. It doesn't matter how good a game looks. You can have max graphics, but if you're only running at like 8 frames per second, you're not going to be able to play the game well. So what you might need to do is kick down your quality to standard or even smooth while keeping your FPS at medium, high, or even ultra if you can handle it. Decrease your quality way before you decrease your FPS. Next up, we have our graphics style, and I would actually recommend soft or vivid if you want to have the best gameplay experience. Realistic and cinematic are a little bit more processor intensive, and soft makes it a little bit easier for your device to run. Vivid is somewhere in the middle, but I would actually recommend vivid because it makes colors pop more, there's more contrast, and it's easier to see enemies if you have vivid graphic style. And then for all of these other settings, you want to turn these things off if you need to, because it doesn't matter if you have nice water reflection or volumetric lighting or depth of field. All of these things are not going to make your gameplay better if you have them on. All they're going to do is they're going to cause more lag if you have a budget device. So you can turn all of these things off. And now we can go over to our sound. Another thing a lot of people might not tell you is if there's so much sound coming through your speakers, that's one more thing your phone has to worry about processing. It's going to all go through the internal components, and you might not want to have certain things volume up to the max, right? Like voice volume. If you have a kid that's really annoying and screaming into the microphone, or your music volume, you might want to turn those things off, and it could make a minute difference, making it slightly more improved. Now, when we go over to the basic controls, this is where things might get a little bit controversial. What you need to remember is your phone is processing a lot of different information all the time. And the more settings you have turned on, that's going to make your phone process more additional information that it doesn't need to. It's going to start to be more taxing on your device, and you might encounter lag spikes. So, for instance, something like aim assist, you might want to turn that off, because if you have it off, then all your phone needs to worry about doing is aiming and shooting at the enemy. It doesn't have to worry about tracking the enemy on top of that, which could potentially cause a lag spike. Now, if you don't really notice a difference, I would keep it on. Aim assist is going to make your gameplay way better, so don't do it unless you absolutely need to. And then a lot of these other settings that kind of combine multiple button presses, like the quick ADS and fire, maybe some of these other basic combat settings, if you're basically unnecessarily making your phone do multiple commands at the same time, then that could be a bit more taxing on your device. For your perspective, you might want to kick down your FOV to a lower FOV because there's less stuff on the screen. It's a little bit less processor intensive. For your control settings, the gyroscope actually does cause lag for some people. Now, I wouldn't just tell you to turn off gyroscope if you've been using gyroscope for years. If that's what you're comfortable with, you should keep gyroscope, because even if you have a little bit of lag, you're going to have a much better gameplay experience if that's something that you're used to. But if you have a budget device and you just want to try out gyroscope, don't learn an entirely new way to control the game if you're already encountering lag. It's not worth it. Only when you get a decent enough device, then you can start to try out gyroscope. When it comes to your sensitivity, there's also not much that you can do. The only thing I would recommend maybe trying out is turning on fixed turning mode. If you think about it, that's just gonna be fixed. It's gonna be linear. Your phone doesn't even have to think about processing anything different than just the standard settings. If you have accelerated, it has to process like accelerating the turning vision and stuff like that. And again, this is something that's gonna be a very, very minute difference, but it might be worth trying out if you absolutely need to. And then finally, when it comes to your gameplay settings, I could recommend potentially turning off the minimap rotating perspective. That's just one other thing your phone would have to worry about putting on the screen and moving around. It could potentially result in a bit of a lag spike when you start to move around a lot. Really, the main thing, honestly, is the graphics. You just want to turn down your graphics quality and keep your FPS high. That's the biggest, most noticeable difference on top of all of these settings turned off. All of these other things are very minute differences, and I would recommend doing a lot of the other things I'm going to talk about in this video first before you start to mess with things like, you know, your aim assist, your quick ADS and fire, and all of these types of settings. So here we are now on my Android device, and there's a lot more that you can do on Android compared to iOS in terms of the optimization, and I do think a lot more Android users specifically are going to be encountering bigger lag issues compared to the iOS devices. Maybe you didn't know this, but Snapdragon devices and iOS devices are most optimized for Delta Force. If you have a MediaTek or a Huawei device or the Samsung Exynos chip, then all of those devices are actually not as optimized as the Snapdragon and the iOS chips. First things first, if you open up your settings and you go over to your app settings to Delta Force, go down to the app battery usage. For me, specifically on my Red Magic device, I don't have this setting, but there is some specific setting that you can turn on for certain devices that's going to limit the battery optimization. What it's going to result in doing is making your phone drain battery a lot faster, but it's going to put all of the resources into the game regardless what battery you have. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to enable developer options. If you know what I'm talking about, this is like the ultimate settings collection that's going to really help improve gameplay performance and a whole bunch of other stuff. So what you're going to want to do is search build number in your settings. It should appear. My build number is right under the IMEI. You're going to tap that 7 times, okay? And eventually, once you tap it 7 times, it's going to say, congrats, you're a developer, and they might automatically open up. If the developer settings do not automatically open up, you can search it. It's the developer options right there. Click on that, and then you have 10 billion different settings that you can turn on and off. First things first, the force 4 times MSAA, and then the disable HW overlays. The settings right there in the middle. Depending on the type of device you have, you might want to turn these settings on or off. It all depends on the processor that you have. For some people, it's better to have certain ones turned on. For others, it's better to have other settings turned off. Play around with these 2 settings right here and see what works best for you. For me, I like to have it like this. It works best for me with these settings turned on like this, but for other people, it might be different. Next up, if you search up enable GPU debug layers, this is another setting that you would want to turn off. It says allow loading GPU debug layers for debug apps. I don't really understand what that means, but I was watching people talk about this for other mobile games, and they always recommend turning this setting off. So I'm going to recommend that as well. You want to turn that off, and if it ends up like messing up with the game, you can always turn it back on if you need to. But turn that setting off. If you go over to your graphics drivers preferences, this is another big thing. For certain devices, you can actually change the graphics driver to run the game. For me specifically, on a Red Magic, I only have the system graphics driver, and that's it. But for a lot of other devices, you might have 2 different ones, and it might, default to the wrong one potentially. So you can select between your different graphics driver, and it might actually result in much better gameplay experience. And then finally, if we search up tethering hardware acceleration right here, use tethering hardware acceleration if available. This is another setting that you would either turn on or off depending on your device. I can't just recommend one specific one, but turn it on, turn it off, see what works best for you. It might result in a slight noticeable improvement depending on which way you turn it on or off. Next up, the background process limit. This is a big one. Search this up in your developer options, and this is basically how many apps you can have running in the background. If you think about it, you're trying to run Delta Force, you have a lot of lag. You want your phone to be 100% focused on Delta Force. You don't want it to have Facebook running in the background, or Twitter, or Instagram, or any of these other apps. No, you want to have it only running Delta Force 100%, right? So for a lot of people, you might want to have no background processes. And that basically means the second you exit out of an app, that's it. It's done. It's not going to have anything running in the background. If you have a bit of a better device, maybe you want to have one because you want to keep like your Instagram loaded so you can go back and forth between that and Delta Force. But kick it down to no background processes, and it might seriously give you a way better gameplay experience, more than almost any of the other things that we've talked about today. And now your animations. This is another setting that might not directly impact Delta Force, but in some cases it does. Regardless, it's going to make your phone feel way faster. So by default, your window animation scale, your transition animation scale, and your animator duration scale is set at 1 times. So what that means is if I exit out of the app, you can see that it kind of slides out, slides back in. Looks like that, right? It's kind of slow. If we put it to 0.5 for all of these, watch this. Way faster, right? And then if we put it at off, look at how fast it's going through everything. I mean, seriously, it's like instantaneous, right? And for people that have slower devices, this is a game changer. You want to put it down to 0.5 or even 0, and it's going to make your device feel way, way faster. Second to last, for some devices, if you go over to your memory tab in developer options, there will be a setting where you can use storage to increase your memory. What that basically means is if you have like 4 gigabytes of RAM and you have a bunch of extra storage space, it's gonna use some of that storage space to increase your RAM to like 6 or 7 gigabytes of RAM and make your phone run way faster. Turn that on if you can, because it's going to make a massive difference, all right? And then finally, the last setting in developer options that I would highly recommend turning on if you can is this one right here, mobile data always active. If you have unlimited data, you should have this turned on, because that means if you have bad Wi-Fi and you constantly get kicked out of a match, it's not going to just disconnect you from the game altogether. It's going to automatically reconnect to your mobile data and keep the game going. So if you can, and you have a lot of gigabytes on your cell plan, you're not going to worry about running out of cell data or anything like that, turn that on. It's going to make a massive difference. And here we are. We just jumped into a match on Ascension. It looks like we are very much on the losing team. But before we get too chaotic here, I just want to say I broke my hand a couple of days ago, and it sucks. It hurts a lot, and it's very, very difficult for me to play mobile games right now. So I apologize if my gameplay is not very good. It's literally because I'm playing with a broken hand. I have a massive handicap right now. But regardless, we're going to keep pushing through and hopefully not completely fail. What I wanted to do is talk about way more tips and tricks that we haven't talked about yet. Starting off with your storage and your RAM. These are very, very important components to your phone that you need to monitor and make sure are not running crazy. To start with your storage, you want to make sure that your storage is at max like 75 to 80%. If your storage starts to get too high, closer to 100% full, your phone is going to start to slow down, and that is never a good thing. You do not want your phone to start to slow down from something as simple as storage, because there's so many ways that you can combat that. You have the cloud, you can upload things to like iCloud photos, Google Drive, OneDrive, all of these different things. Video files. You shouldn't have all of your videos stored directly on your phone, because it's never a good thing anyways to do that. If you lose your phone, then you've lost all of your photos and videos. If you have friends that are sending you massive photos and videos over text message, guess what? It's not just stored over the cloud when they send you a text. It's actually stored on your phone, and you can start to delete some of these photos and videos if they're not important to you, because it's really going to help a lot. What you could do is, if your friend has sent like a 30-minute long video of something stupid, but you don't want to have it gone because, it's really, really funny, what you could do is you could save it to your phone, upload it to the cloud, and then that way, hey, all that storage space is now freed up. It's so much better. There's a guy right here. I'm so screwed. Oh my God, look at me with my freaking broken hand. Please, I need ammo. I'm screwed. I'm so screwed. I'm so screwed. I've accepted death here. There's no way. Come on, guys. Come at me. Come at ExxotikGaming. Oh, you thought? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I thought. Now, when it comes to your RAM, you need to make sure that your memory is not being overused. And as I talked about earlier on in this video, a big thing that you can do is decrease the background process limit in developer options. But if you're watching this and you have an iOS device, well, you can't do that, right? There's no setting that allows you to do that I know of. Actually, now that I think about it, I believe there is a way on iOS. All you need to do is go over to your app settings and just turn off the ability for an app to run in the background. It's very simple, and I would highly recommend doing that for very invasive apps like Facebook and Google and some of these other apps that you probably use a lot, but you don't want running 100% of the time. Another thing that you can do for both iOS and Android is kind of follow the method that I do whenever I play a mobile game. I always like to basically restart my device and my cache every single time I start playing a mobile game. So I close out of every other app that I have open, and then I restart my device, and then I open up the app. It's as simple as that. So the only app that should be open on your phone is Delta Force. Every other app is closed out, and you even restarted your device to clear all of that cache because, depending on how long you have an app on your phone open, it's going to have a lot of cache built up over time. But don't worry, because if a lot of this is overwhelming, a lot of phones have built-in cleaners and game modes to help you with reducing cache, closing out of other apps, and focusing your phone's processing power on the game itself. So make sure you check and see if your phone has a cleaner app. Run it pretty often so it clears up cache from apps that you don't care about anymore. And make sure to use the gaming mode if your phone has it. Always use gaming mode. Your phone will know it best if it has a gaming mode. It's going to know how to optimize resources better than any other app on the App Store or the Google Play Store. So use the built-in phone cleaner because it's there for a reason. Now, if you're watching this video and you don't have a dedicated phone cleaner or a game booster, do not fret because there's a lot of apps out there on the App Store and the Google Play Store that do a very nice job. In terms of phone cleaners, it's very simple. You literally just search up phone cleaner and download something that has, a lot of good reviews. Don't download some random app that has no reviews because that's probably not a good thing. But, something that tens of thousands of people would recommend is probably an okay app to download, right? And then when it comes to the game booster, literally just search up Game Booster on the App Store and the Google Play Store and download one of the top rated ones. And the way all of these Game Booster apps work is they will have Delta Force right there on the app. And you open up Delta Force from the app. What it does is it somehow prioritizes all of the game resources for Delta Force, and it makes it run a heck of a lot better. I've done this for other games in the past, and literally, I've been able to play some of the top-of-the-line first-person shooters with 1 GB of RAM. It is crazy how good some of these apps are. And I can't sit here and recommend any specific one because it's actually been a little bit since I've used one, so I don't know what the best one is now. But, for other people out there that are watching this video, feel free to comment down below which one you would recommend, and people can go check the comments and see what app they should download, depending on if they have an iOS or an Android device. However, we are not done. And now that we've talked about the different phone cleaning apps and the game boosting apps, another hugely important thing that's going to result in a lot of lag for your device is overheating. If your phone starts to overheat, it's going to start to throttle, and it's not going to be good for you, all right? So you need to make sure your phone is never too hot. It might be easier said than done, especially if you have an older phone. Older phones tend to run hot very, very quickly. But there's ways you can combat that. For instance, one thing I would recommend doing is having some sort of fan. You might literally have an actual fan in your house, and then you can play with the fan blowing cold air at your phone. But if you want it to be a little bit more technical, there are literal fans that you can put on the back of your phone that will cool down your phone very, very well. You can use one of those things. They're not very expensive on Amazon. They're sometimes as cheap as $20 if you can get them on sale. And I would highly recommend that. They literally build these types of things for Red Magic devices. And if Red Magic has them and ROG has it for their Asus phones, then obviously they know what they're doing, right? And you should probably get that for your phone as well. Another thing that I would recommend doing is if your phone is just way too hot, you can't even hold it, you can literally put your phone in a refrigerator for 15 seconds, 20 seconds, you know, maybe even up to a minute, depending on how hot your phone is. A lot of people say that this ruins the phone, but it doesn't, because if you think about it, there's a lot of people that live in very, very cold climates, and if they're a mobile gamer, their phone might be very hot. Their mom says, oh, go outside and get the mail. They immediately walk into a place where it's negative 30 degrees, all right? Their phone does not just die the second they walk outside. It's kind of like that with a refrigerator or a freezer. You could do that to cool down your phone pretty quickly, and that's something I would recommend doing if you absolutely need to. One other thing that I always recommend doing is never playing while your phone is charging. I'm not charging my phone right now. As you guys can see, I'm at 93% right now, which is pretty good, but I would never be playing a game while I'm charging my phone. It is never a good thing to do that. It actually damages your phone. People say, oh, the refrigerator damages your phone. No, playing while charging damages your phone. So do not do that, right? If your phone is low on battery, then just put it on the charger, wait a bit, let it charge, get it up to like 50% or whatever you need to be able to play some more Delta Force, and then go back into the game. It's not worth damaging your phone and your battery life if you're playing while you are charging. Because basically what ends up happening is it really decreases your battery life over time. If you do that, your phone will like not last even a full day of regular usage, and that's just not good. All right, there's a few other things that I do want to talk about. For Android devices specifically, there are touchscreen repair apps out there that you can find on the Google Play Store. There's several different apps that do basically the same thing, but what they basically do is they kind of decrease your latency and improve the touchscreen responsiveness. I don't really know exactly which one is the best one, but I've seen some YouTubers talk about various different apps like this, and they are worth trying out. If you notice, when you press buttons on your screen, it's a little bit slow in terms of the responsiveness, on top of the lag issues that you might already be encountering, right? Speaking of Wi-Fi and other stuff like that, if a lot of people are using your Wi-Fi connection, then it actually will result in some lag. So what you might want to do is ask some of your family members to not use the Wi-Fi while you're playing the game, or at least, you know, kind of bargain with your brothers and your sisters. You get some time and then they get some time. Another thing that you can do is just check and see what your devices are that are using the Wi-Fi. You might, you know, have devices that you're not even knowing using the Wi-Fi and taking up a lot of bandwidth, resulting in some lag and ping issues. So just disconnect devices from the Wi-Fi that you don't need, and that might actually result in a noticeable improvement. And another thing is you might have a virus on your Android device. iOS, probably very unlikely, because iOS devices are very good with that. But if you have an Android, dude, check and see. Download an antivirus and see if you have a virus on your phone. If you do, then guess what? You found the cause of your problems. Use that antivirus to get rid of it. Or maybe just get rid of it yourself, because it might just simply be a download on your phone. I don't really know, right? And then for some people, you might just not have good enough Wi-Fi, right? You might have to play with a cell connection. So turn off your Wi-Fi, open up Delta Force, play with cell, and see if it's better. It might be. It's worth trying, even if you don't have unlimited data. At least you know that it's your Wi-Fi that's causing the issue. I would at least try it out and see. And there's actually an app that I've used in the past. It's called Speedify, I believe. It's been a long time since I've used it, and I don't know if it's good anymore, but it is potentially worth trying out if they have a free trial. What that app does is it supposedly connects your cell and your Wi-Fi and all these various connections all at the same time, so you can have the most stable internet. Speedify, don't know if it works anymore. I looked it up recently and it has a pretty bad rating. But again, if you have a free trial, I'd try it out and just see if that increases your overall like Wi-Fi connectivity and you can have a more stable gameplay experience. And finally, the very last tip of this video is you can manually decrease the resolution of your phone. I made a video a little while back, actually a long while back, talking about this. It was a whole tutorial for a different game, and you should watch this video if you would like to do this. But it's for Android devices, and if you really think about it logically, if there's less pixels on the screen, it should run a lot better, right? So you can literally make your game like 10 times worse than low quality, like at like a 480p YouTube video, and it actually will work for a lot of people. I would try it out if you can. You're going to need a computer to do this, so for some people, it's completely out of the question, but There might be new methods since then. This video is made in like 2021 or 2020. So there might be ways that you can decrease your phone resolution without having to use a computer nowadays. You can look that up on YouTube. But yeah, basically, you decrease your phone resolution so you can force your phone to be at way, way worse quality, less pixels on the screen. You're going to have less lag. That's like a last resort type of thing. Probably the most extreme tip that I have from this video. But in a lot of cases, it is the best one. Did I just get the last kill through the smoke at a perfect time as I finished up this video? My God, dude. Let's go. Well, yeah, there we go. Honestly, I think that's a perfect way to end off this video. There's a whole bunch of different tips and tricks that I talked about. I don't think I missed anything. I have an entire list on my computer here. But yeah, I really hope this video did help you guys out. If it did, please do take a second and leave a like and subscribe for some more mobile gaming content just like this. My whole thing is I want the most amount of people to be able to play this game and enjoy it. And if you're stuck at like 20 FPS, there should be a way that you can get that back up to 30 so you can enjoy this game once again. I hope it did. Hope it helped. Leave a like if it did. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode.